If EMS goes away, public safety is set back 40 years.
23-year-old male having a seizure. 260 along 955 Richland Township, 5516 Clearview Road, 23 mil active seizure.
So an ambulance and a paramedic response vehicle got dispatched to a young man having a seizure who is unconscious. We're trying to make sure resources are available when those 911 calls come in that we're here and ready to respond.
When you put your heart and soul into serving your community, you want it to make an impact. What does it take to get there? What does it take to be an EMS professional? This is a deep dive into the people who respond to your community.
If these guys aren't here to answer the call, you're not going to have the response all the time, 24/7, 365 days a year, nights, weekends, holidays. There are EMTs and paramedics here around the clock waiting to respond to 911 calls. If we lose our funding and that funding goes away, there won't be anybody here to respond when you call 911. So who's going to pick up the pieces if this goes away? The answer to the question is nobody. There is nobody available to fill in a gap like the 5 communities that we cover. There are fewer ambulance services in Allegheny County now than there ever has been. $525 every time we get a 911 call to put an ambulance on the road, and our average return on that same 911 call is less than $400. So every time we respond to a call, it's actually costing this organization more than $125, and we rely on our municipal partners and our subscription program to offset that. So I think the first part is just awareness, to be understanding of what EMS does and what the plight of EMS is, not just in Ross Westview's service area, but all across Pennsylvania and all across the United States. EMS systems are struggling for funding, and because of funding are struggling for people that want to do the job and the right equipment to do the job. And the result of that is the folks that we do have are working very hard and answering more calls, working more hours, and doing that in the less than desirable equipment because we can't afford to get people, we can't afford to get new trucks. Understanding EMS is probably the first and most important part for folks in and around the community. And then part 2 of that is to understand what we're doing with their money and why this money is important. As we said, it's a nominal fee of $55 a year. The $55 over all 5 communities really allows us to have a robust EMS system. And if they need to call 911, we'll not just be there, but we'll be there with the best of the best and the best equipment, trained and ready to respond at a moment's notice. At some point in your life, everybody is going to need to call 911. We want to be here when you make that phone call. Right now, Ross Westview EMS is living paycheck to paycheck. It is conceivable in 3 months we may not be here when you call 911 without your financial assistance. If you're lucky enough to be somebody that doesn't need to call 911 and use an ambulance this year, your money is still being used wisely for public safety throughout the community. The neighbors that need to call us will rely on your help, and if you do need to call us, you have no out-of-pocket expense once that fee is paid. Law enforcement and fire certainly want to see us succeed because we respond so frequently together that we rely on each other to solve problems. It's in the case of a chest pain, it's very much an EMS related event, but in the case of a SWAT situation, police are relying on EMS to be there to support them. In the case of a house fire, fire is relying on EMS to be there to support them. So it's very much a team effort. Come December or January, we're going to have a public meeting in each of the 5 communities. At that public meeting, our goal is to reassure the residents that what we're doing is necessary, conscious of spending their money wisely and using that money to help us sustain a very valuable emergency response system.